And what about this? How can this be just a coincidence? Here's Teddy Roosevelt on horseback, famously pressing onward, sword held high in the charge of San Juan Hill, considered the most defining moment of his life, which turned him into a national war hero overnight, springboarding him to win the governorship of New York that same year, which would lead to him becoming president 3 years later. Remind you of a certain knight on horseback pressing onward, sword held high in BG's latest riddle? What are the chances, you guys? There's even a silver Teddy Roosevelt coin immortalizing this moment. Even Trump's mentioned it.
He led the famous Rough Riders to defeat the enemy at San Juan Hill.
And how about this? The Teddy Roosevelt Memorial Park is in Oyster Bay. His old house on Sagamore Hill, now a museum, has a long trail that leads to Oyster Bay. Okay, well, BG's latest riddle, the one that symbolizes Teddy Roosevelt's most defining moment, shows a long trail leading to a bay with an oyster on it. Again, BG's latest riddle includes the distinct symbol of Teddy Roosevelt's most defining moment and an oyster on a trail that leads to a bay, when meanwhile the Teddy Roosevelt Memorial Park is at Oyster Bay. And you know what's even crazier about this? Remember the LARP theme discussed in this video? About how BG may be showing these characters all acting out one big LARP since the world's a stage? Well, the Oyster Bay Town Board hosts an annual LARP festival at Oyster Bay to reenact the exact scene of Teddy's horseback sword-hoisted charge on San Juan Hill. BG's riddle shows an oyster on a trail that leads to a bay with a knight charging onward with his sword hoisted, and the Teddy Roosevelt Memorial at Oyster Bay hosts a LARP event that reenacts Teddy Roosevelt charging onward with his hoisted sword. How can that be just a coincidence? And speaking of coincidence, we have a bunch of entities riddling about Teddy Roosevelt in coded language, right? Well, you know who else liked to hide secrets in coded messages? Teddy Roosevelt. Roosevelt was known for encoding political messages. He had a keen understanding of symbolism and storytelling, often using allegory and historical references to convey his political ideology. Roosevelt literally personally encrypted his own telegrams. According to William F. Friedman, who's known as the Dean of American Cryptology, it took him an hour to decode one of Roosevelt's transpositional ciphers he wrote to key U.S. naval commanders in 1898, instructing them to prepare.